It's a beautiful, miserable, cloudy, rainy day here in Brisbane and the same across the country, but we're here for Friday morning bite-sized conversations with my digital BFF, Kylie Mowbray-Allen from hellomedia, and I'm Jenni Walke from Elephant in the Room. So nice to see you again, Kylie.
So nice to see you, Jenni. And have you got your puppy around under your feet today?
She's kind of been running around chewing things in the back of the room. If I showed you I should show you, actually, this is hysterical. People, this is the dog after in the corner, but the mess that she's created on the floor. So yeah, so she basically destroys things in the house, chews everything from all her toys rather, and then collapses on the floor exhausted because it's very hard work chewing toys. So wouldn't that be nice if that was your life, to chew toys and sleep?
I asked you about your puppy. Mine just woke up. It's like, I
haven't seen your puppy for ages, so
don't start. Say hi. No, I'll just give her a little snack. I've got my little treat.
Oh, you're good. we don't have snacks in our kitchen here. Apparently chewing on toilet paper rolls and rope toys is enough for her. But it's a funny week. We're just talking before we went live is how crazy the weather's been. And I know it's kind of weird to talk about the weather, but it's been so strange. Like, we're having these kind of thunderstorms and then moments of bursts of sun and then thunderstorms, and the world it's a little bit crazy at the moment.
Sure is, and I'm so happy about it secretly because it's just that little bit cooler. And normally this time of the year is kind of excruciating where I live, and then we've got months and months and months ahead of it. But the fact that we're almost at the end of November and it's not been so intense is like, yes, maybe I've only got 4 months coming ahead of me.
Although we do have, I don't know if it's muggy down in Bangalore, but it's very muggy here in Brisbane. So it's kind of like, I really feel like we've hit Darwin's wet season. Yeah. So we're getting steamy. I was on a Zoom call yesterday afternoon with a client about 3 o'clock yesterday afternoon, and my glasses were fogging. It was so steamy in the house. It was ridiculous. I'm like, this is not okay. Like, I should not have foggy glasses in the house. Yeah. Random conversations, people. This is bite-sized random conversations today.
So let's get stuck in, Jenni, for our topic of the day.
We're talking about how we show up in the world, which I'm very excited about. I did an Instagram post about this yesterday, actually, so I'm really excited about the identity and how, kind of how we display ourselves to the kind of the world and how we show up and what that looks like and the impact that has on, I guess, who we attract and how we actually manage our business. I think is people sometimes underestimate the impact that how they show up has on their customers and their engagement.
Absolutely. So I feel like the way you show up is very much to do with your branding. So if I rock up at a networking event, for example, and I'm wearing, something, tracky pants and, a grubby t-shirt with dinner spilt on it from the night before, what am I presenting to the world? And my brand, I like to feel like, is about a little bit, it's schmick in terms of its graphics. Yeah. I'm trying to present it professionally, but with a bit of a quirky edge to it and a little bit of a relaxed tone as well. So that then if I turn up in grubby whatever clothes, that doesn't feel like it's matching with my brand. So I feel like when we've worked out our whole branding for our business and what we want to present out there is what you're also presenting, matching along with that.
And it's such a good point. I mean, it's why we have uniforms with, large companies have uniforms. It's so they can actually have a consistent brand and look and feel, so people feel safe when they connect with us. But it's funny when we get to small businesses or medium businesses even forget that why people do that. They go, I don't want a uniform. I don't need to have my people wear a uniform, and you don't. However, how you show up really does matter. And the post I did yesterday was around the fact that I used to always wear high heels, because down south in Victoria, Melbourne, Sydney, Canberra, if you're working and you're in a corporate or professional environment, there's kind of an expectation that you're going to wear heels. And they don't have to always be heels. And this is an old school view. I know it's changed these days, but I used to always have that we needed to wear heels. And so I rocked beautiful, 10 to 15 centimeter platform, gorgeous shoes. And I loved wearing them. And I realized, recently, as I kind of transitioned into owning a business, spent more time in kind of Zoom calls or face-to-face kind of coaching sessions at cafes where I wasn't standing up presenting, my heels transitioned to flats. And then I realized, flats are fine. And then I, met my partner and fell in love with Air Force Ones and him. And now it's about Air Force Ones. And it seems that that's changed. And my identity has actually changed according to my shoes.
And where does that fit in with your business branding then, because I'm thinking perhaps that's kind of right from what my perspective is. I thought when we first met, I actually really liked your quirkiness with the origami and all that kind of thing, but it definitely had a more corporate feel to it, and that's softened along the way as well.
Yeah, and I think for me, I realized, I think at the start, I actually really felt I needed to project and be that kind of person. That was a throwback to, I guess, coming out of a corporate world and thinking that that's how you need to sort of show up. I remember I used to present all around the country for previous jobs, and I would have one outfit that I would wear, and it was a very specific outfit, so I didn't have to think about it. It would be on brand, if you like, or on point, and then that would be what I do. It was always about the heels. And I remember I was at an event and my heel broke. So I was delivering and the heel broke about 10 minutes before the end of the presentation. And so I'm presenting, and all of a sudden I was walking around, we did a group exercise, and then I came back and it was like snap. And I was like, what just happened? And so I had to actually take my shoes off and present the last 10 minutes without my shoes. And it was one of the guys in the audience said, we don't care what your footwear looks like. We're here to listen to you speak, not worry about your shoes. Because I was, of course, really worried that, I'm now kind of presenting, trying to be on tiptoes with bare feet, trying to look all professional. But I think my brand has changed so much because I realized that I'm teaching people to show up and create a business that fits themselves and their lifestyle and aligns with their own, passion and purpose and mission. And it's not, and so I can't do that if I'm not doing that authentically myself. And I love to be relaxed. I love walking around bare feet. I love, sitting cross-legged and chatting to people and feeling relaxed and making them feel at home, because that gets the best out of them in our coaching sessions. And I love doing that it used to be bare feet, and then I realized maybe some people don't like bare feet. So runners or sneakers became a comfortable way of doing it. And now I present to, executives all around Australia in Air Force Ones. And that's and that's a part of the brand, is being a bit quirky and being a bit kind of fun and relaxed and making people feel relaxed.
That's so great. I'm definitely with you there, but making people feel relaxed. So for example, I'm not going to turn up in a full suit like I used to wear in Sydney corporate days 1,000 years ago, because it's not me, but also it's not even going to make me feel relaxed, and it's certainly not going to make them feel relaxed either.
No, and that's really, and it's about the image you want to present, isn't it? Just like your brand, and you said it perfectly at the start, is that how you're showing up to the world is part of your branding, and there needs to be alignment with what that looks like. So if you're wanting to be corporate and you're targeting corporates, and it's like the lawyer who turns up without a suit. It's like, what? I've got a great colleague of mine who doesn't wear a suit, never wears a full suit unless he's going to literally unless he's in court. He meets his clients generally with a t-shirt, but he's like, I can have a jacket over my t-shirt and people still feel comfortable. And once they get to know me, I'll take the jacket off and I'm just in t-shirt and jeans. But so he's not the traditional lawyer, but he knows the jacket at the start makes people feel like, okay, this guy's serious. So he's bridging the gap between what a lawyer, like a full lawyer kind of traditional button-down model is, versus how he wants to show up in the world.
Jenni, there was this amazing documentary series that I was watching, might have been last year, I think it was called Worn Clothes. And I'll definitely look that up though and let everyone know, but it was just brilliant. And it was about how clothes change how you see people, how you think about people, how they think about themselves. There was episodes on uniforms and why we wear uniforms and what it makes us feel like when we're part of that. And it was absolutely fascinating. It really made me look at things completely differently. And it was interviewing the owners of air conditioning, dry cleaning company. And what a privilege that it was that they had that job, is what they were saying, because they're dealing with things that change people's lives. It was just exquisite the way that it was done. Honestly, just so beautiful. So I'll share that, because I think in a working capacity, we look at a police officer walking down the road and we're just like, oh, that's a police officer. But would we look at them the same or sorry, I shouldn't go, we're just going, wow, that's a police officer. But what I mean is it's very clear who they are, what they do, and probably what they're doing there. But if they were in something else, wearing something else, we would possibly not even notice that they were walking on by.
Yeah.
So same with when you walk into a hospital, it's super important that those nurses are in that uniform and that the doctors are wearing their coats, because we get exactly who they are and what they're going to do and how they're going to help us, which I really like.
I think it's an identification piece, isn't it? It's about identifying the role and identifying that kind of, and it's, I guess, to some extent, some authority. So you're actually demonstrating your authority and your brand through what you wear.
Yes. So what about businesses like yours and mine, where people do have a uniform? I've seen quite a number of coaches that have a polo shirt with their logo on it. For starters, for me, I'm not a fan of a polo shirt. So that would never be my uniform. In fact, I can't remember the last time I wore one, but I never enjoyed it. What do you think about that in terms of a uniform? Because years ago, when I worked for a film company where we're based in England, traveling all over the world, filming the Formula One World Powerboat Championship, my second year, we all agreed that we would like to have a uniform. So we were always in super hot countries. Possibly at 21, I was dressing maybe a little inappropriately in very hot climates. So, maybe that was, now that just dawned on me, maybe that was part of the thought process around having a uniform. How cute. But we were all part of, what are we going to wear? And so we chose white shirts, just short sleeve, because they were the fine for everybody, anyone who wanted to wear them. And us females would just knock them up and make them all super cute. And we just had navy shorts and little navy sneakers. And then we had the FM television embroidered on there. And it was good because suddenly we were recognizable.
Yeah.
And that, it was a very casual uniform, but it made a lot of sense for what we were doing. And and it felt good. It also felt good to take it off at the end of the day as well. But, it definitely made you know who you were and what you were there for.
I've got a consulting company that I work with who actually has that. So they've actually got T-shirts. They've decided they've just got standard. There's a black and a kind of dark navy T-shirt, and their logo is just on the corner. So they can wear, when they're presenting, they just wear their T-shirt because it's branded. As soon as you put a branding on it, it elevates it. So it can just be a T-shirt or a singlet, or not a singlet. It can be just a simple black or colored T-shirt. But as soon as you put the logo on, it elevates it. It sends a message, and you go, okay, I'm in the right spot. And I think about uniforms. I don't really technically have a uniform, but I have a fairly standard wardrobe that I deliver in and that I work in because I feel comfortable. There's these particular blouses that I have literally in 4 colors because they're comfortable. They're easy when I travel. They feel comfortable for me when I'm presenting. So they're not inappropriate. I'm not worried when I wave my hands around as I do that I'm not going to actually, show anything. And so I was actually thinking, like we were having a conversation with my partner just recently about maybe we'll buy a whole series of these for me and just get them, put the logo on them so that when I do go and present, it just has my little elephant logo, and it may not be on the top. It's probably going to be at the very bottom on the hem, but just something little so people can actually relate to see. And when they see me, or if I'm on a trade show or something like that, I can actually see that who I am. But my uniform, although not official, is essentially a blouse like this, leggings, and Air Force Ones. And that is how I show up. I think if I showed up in any different way, people would be like, what's happening? Is it a special day? Because that's just what I want.
Oh, I love it. I think that's so great, Jenni. I love the idea of just the little origami elephant. It's subtle. It's definitely recognizable as your brand, and it's a good idea. That's fun. Last night,
I don't think you need to. I think the thing is, though, let's face it, your glasses for you, I love your glasses, but they're very much a signature piece for you because when we're on Zoom, it's everything above the neck, right? You don't get to see the rest of us unless you're standing and doing presentations standing on Zoom, which is much rarer. But it's all those elements of, how we do our hair, the glasses that we wear. And, you're always in bright colors. I very rarely see you in very dark colors. That's still part of your brand, and it matches Hello Media, which is bright and fun and engaging. And so I think we don't, on a subconscious level, we often don't realize the connections that we're making with how we show up with our brand.
Yes, totally. So last night I was interviewing for the Positive Passionate Businesswoman podcast. two women they're from a family business, Lemon Myrtle Fragrances. And so I jump on Zoom with them to interview them. And there they were in their brand colors. So Kerry, who's the mum and one of the co-owners, she's wearing beautiful yellow. There's Cassie, who's the daughter and one of the co-owners, in a white shirt with kind of a green scarfy thing. And I was instantly like, you guys have nailed it without even trying. Or maybe they did try, but anyway, it looked great. I was like, totally cool, because then their packaging was in behind them, which all matched in with everything too. And I was like, there's definitely something to be said for that, with staying on point. And, we've got Brenda in the room with us today. And Brenda, every time I see her, is wearing one of her beautiful, beautiful dresses that she makes herself. Very clever, because she sews, well, she doesn't sew dresses for people, but sews curtains, etc., but she also sells fabrics for people to do their own. So I think, if Brenda was turning up in an outfit from Kmart, that's not saying to people, Brenda's living and breathing this, and in her spare time, she's sewing her own wardrobe too. So I think that's wonderful in the way that she shows up.
Yeah, and I think it's a really important piece to say, and you don't have to overthink it necessarily. If you don't want to feel like you have a specific uniform, that's okay. But it might just be a signature piece. So I kind of think back to the kind of fashion, the way fashion houses often work and people work. You might have something different every time, but it might just be a signature piece where it's a particular handbag or a particular clutch or a cover on your phone or as I said, earrings or something simple that just links people back to know that you're in a safe pair of hands, because how you show up is about reminding people that they've made the right decision. And I think we forget that it's not about what we look like. It's more about how it connects with what we're doing and how does it connect with people's idea of us. And I agree with you. It's like going to gym. When we go to gym and I see all the people come to gym and they're all about the particular fashion brands, right? So with all the crazy sales at the moment, people have been going legitimately crazy, purchasing 50, 60, 70% off stuff. And I'm like, that's cool. I'm still wearing the same kind of, Everlast leggings from Kmart and my t-shirts, because I'm at gym and it's my downtime. I don't have to think about what I look like, and I'm not there to impress with a particular look and feel. But so many people use that. That's part of their identity. They want to turn up and show up in a particular way. But then if you see them out of the gym and they're in a completely different persona and they look so different, you're like, oh, that's who you are. Because we get a connection with how you show up in the world. And I think that's what we have to remember, is that there are different times how we show up with our family, how we show up with our clients versus how we show up with other people does impact the way people think and feel and trust us.
Definitely. And how about how we show up online where it's not about seeing us in person? So for example, showing up in Facebook groups and what we're saying, what we're putting out there. I'm always intrigued by the lurkers, that they don't comment, they don't ever post or anything. So it's like, are you actually still there? And every now and then I'll do a post and I'll go, this one's for you guys, the quiet ones, the introverts, are you there? Tell me what you'd like more of, etc., etc. And both the comments go crazy, because they're like, yes, I'm here. I really like what you post. It's wonderful. I learn a lot. Thanks so much. So when they're invited to step forward, then they tend to. But other than that, they'll just stay back. Whereas I'm very, very different in a group. If I'm not engaging and being part of it, then I feel like, well, do I need to be there? And I'll jump out. So we're so different in the way we show up in that as well.
It really is. And I think, and it's actually interesting from a conversation we had last week about community groups and which places we play. I actually realized, as you said, that I'm probably a little bit of a lurker. I'll show up and I'll comment now and again, but I'm definitely watching stuff and I'm definitely looking through it. But what I find is I love to observe the behavior of others. I think I just really enjoy watching and seeing how people interact and seeing the comments that are made and seeing how, and I like watching and observing people. So I feel like I might be a bit of a lurker, but then I do post though. So I do post some stuff, but I'll watch and observe other people a lot in Facebook groups. And again, that's also how, if I think about the brand, that's what we do. My job is to observe people's businesses. It's to understand and see the whole picture of the business, not just that little element they want to share. So that when I'm talking to them, I can be like, I know you've only shared this, but I know all this other stuff is going on. And so really, I think even the way I show up on Facebook and social media is probably very much about how I run the business.
It's so interesting, isn't it? And the problem is for the lurker types is that if you like what you're seeing, you're going to see less and less of it if you're not commenting or engaging with it at all. So if you're not ever liking it or anything, then Facebook thinks that you're not actually loving that content, and they'll show you less and less and less. So that's also an interesting one, that if you suddenly find yourself not seeing a group that you used to quite enjoy watching what was happening, then that'll be the reason. So sometimes what I'll do is I'll join a group, I'll spend some time looking through it. So I won't be commenting or anything, I'm just looking. I'll spend some time in there, because of course the algorithm is also looking at how much time you spent in there, even if you're not doing any kind of and then if I think I'm going to enjoy being in here, I'll make a comment. That's like triggering something to say, yep, start showing that to me in the newsfeed. If immediately I get a bit of a feeling like not really sure about this, I might stay for a few days and check back in once or twice, but otherwise I actually will leave the group. I'd rather not have it just, sitting there clogging up the stuff that I'm joined to, and get out, basically. That's
such a good tip, though. I hadn't even thought about that, I guess, because Facebook changes the algorithm so often, and they've changing and trying to looking at how, I don't want to use the word manipulating, but it's guiding the information that we see on Facebook now. But yeah, that's a really great tip for people, though. Yeah. Sure. It is a really good tip, though, to say that if you want to be, and if you are enjoying and you are one of those lurkers or the observers like us, like me, then having that opportunity to say just occasionally comment or like or post to ensure that you do keeping that content, because I do forget that, I have to say, and my team I'm sure will cover that off and make sure that we do. But it's important that I think we remember that it's part of that engagement piece. It's part of how we build community, and again, how we show up. I guess we're there to provide advice and connect and observe, and also add value. So rather than advice, but add value to the group. Otherwise, I like your idea of leave if you don't want to add value in that group anymore.
So one thing to think about is that on social media, we want to be social. So yes, I agree with you. There's definitely, I've got some groups where I'm just lurking and learning, but mostly I'm thinking, okay, it's social media. I need to be social. How am I showing up in that space? So I want to make sure that what I'm putting out there is intelligent, that it's coming across that I do know what I'm talking about, but also that I'm someone that's always willing to ask questions and ask for help, because I'm in an area, in an industry that is forever changing, literally daily. But I also want to show up show that I know that things are changing. So for example, boom, suddenly there's the new linking on Instagram stories to anywhere. What a game changer that is. So that I can talk about that in groups is really, really important as soon as it's happened, rather than, find out a month later. Like, it's really important to me that I know exactly what's going on when it's going on. So I then jump into my own group and share about that, or, jump into someone else's group and share about that. So I feel like showing your expertise in an area is a really important thing in the way that you show up.
And I 100% agree in that people are wanting us to demonstrate value. So it saves us having to do things like, yes, there's testimonials and success stories, which are wonderful things, but everybody also knows that they're a conversation with a client who loves you, right? You don't get a testimonial that says, working with that person was so terrible. Like, that's never going to be posted, right? So, but what I love about that is when you're able to actually share and add value as comments or a post or connection with people in that way, you're actually demonstrating your expertise, and you're actually showing up saying, this is why I'm here, this is what I do. And so here's a little bit of value for you. I hope it's worthwhile. And when you get engagement from that, when you've commented on someone else, it does allow people to see that kind of social proof in a really truthful and organic way, but also in a really transparent way to say, hey, I'm here to show up and add value. And if you like it, that's great. Start following me and get to know me more.
Yes. The other thing that you can do that's really, really valuable is commenting. So it might not be that you ever really want to post, but by commenting on other people's posts. So for example, let's say we were in a business group together, Jenni, and you put a post out there about something awesome that we all need to know about, to do with, let's say we're talking about goal setting for next year.
Yep. And
if I've enjoyed that content that you've put in there, then I need to just jump in there and comment and say, awesome, I'm getting onto that, or love that little tidbit, or whatever it is, or maybe even just a heart emoji to show you that I've acknowledged it. It makes you feel good that someone's actually bothered to read it, because otherwise you're like, oh my goodness, all that time went into creating that content. No one's even liked it, or commented or anything.
Yeah.
But also then if I respond, it gives you the chance to then engage with me. So when you comment, it's literally like an invitation. It's saying, yes, I liked what you did. Hey, maybe even I want to know more. So then you can comment back and go, glad you loved it. Hey, do you want to jump on a Zoom with me? And, let's chat about whatever, or I've got a free ebook, or, whatever it is, and take me on that customer journey. I think that's really important. The other thing is, how often do you go into a group and you see some crazy post that's blowing up, something really triggering for a lot of people? Do you then go straight into the comments and start reading the comments? I do. It's like a train wreck. And I'm like, can you hear that intense squeaking?
I can. It's awesome.
Boy, coffee, excuse me.
We pull the squeaks out of all our toys before she gets.
Well, I thought we didn't have any squeaky ones in the office, but there you go. I clearly got that wrong.
That's awesome.
So when you're commenting and seeing things a lot, then you'll start to see the same person a lot. Now, if it's somebody that's just causing chaos and mayhem and creating drama, that's good as well, because you get to know those ones and you just want to stay away from them. But when you start to see people commenting and giving really good value, giving tips, sharing their experience, etc., then it makes you want to know more. So then you'll click on, go and stalk them a little, check out their personal profile. Same with Instagram, I'll go and check out their bio. Boom, they've just got a new follower because I respect what they're saying. I like what they're saying. Yeah, and that to me is super important. So that's another
really good point.
Showing up and commenting can be super, super powerful.
I really love that. I think it's my takeaway for today, though, because I often do that scroll, but and particularly when there's 5,000 comments, I never bother to, or a couple of hundred comments, I never bother adding, because I'm like, what value am I adding to this piece? But I really appreciate that by commenting and responding to someone else's comment, it's actually giving them that validation and that kind of response. And I hadn't thought about it that way. So I'm going to love that, because that really leads into that conversation we talked last week about building that community and connection with people, around wanting to make sure people know that you're there and wanting to make sure that the information you're providing is valuable. So how are we going to know that if we don't comment or like the post? So I really appreciate that.
Give them some love. Everyone needs some love when they put some effort out there. I try and do that when I see my clients' posts or your posts, anybody's posts that I actually really care about them as a human. Yeah. I really want to make an effort and show that, hey, I've appreciated that you've posted.
My challenge at the moment, which I know has nothing to do really about how we show up, is my issue with Instagram is I love my elephant in the room Instagram, and that's pretty much where I play and hang out, and it's the stuff I share a lot on. But my personal Instagram, which I don't use a lot of, and I just use to kind of throw pictures up now and again, that's where all my friends and colleagues tag me in my personal one, and I never see it because my personal one's never open. So I'm missing like tags in stories, and people are like, did you see that story from last week? And I'm like, what story? So with Instagram stories, I hate the fact that you only get to see them for 24 hours because I've missed so many. I was scrolling through last night going, there were literally like 50 stories that I've been tagged over the last like 3 months from gyms and friends and people going, and I never saw any of them. And I had this conversation going, do you not, well, you never comment or respond. I'm like, I don't see them. So I'm trying to work out how I manage that. And that might just be, I have to schedule 5 minutes a day to look at Instagram stories, I think, because it's the one thing I always miss.
I don't really ever log onto my personal Instagram either. It's a bit of a pain. And so what I do is I have the majority of the friends that I want to follow, I have them on my business one as well.
Yeah.
So I can see that popping up. But yeah, it's a bit of a pain, isn't it? Because it's not like with Facebook, you get notifications for everything. You have to literally jump in and out of accounts to see it. So
exactly.
Kind of annoying, that's for sure.
And I'm not hip enough to do so many stories and reels, and that's the next stage of our Instagram. But I have a team who do my stories because they love them, and I'm like, okay, that's cool, but I never get to see them.
So I think that's the thing then, Jenni, about this could be a challenge out there for all of us, is to show up. If we've started an account, show up on it. So you just said, I'm going to make myself do 5 minutes a day. I thought maybe that's a good challenge for myself. And you know what? If I can't check in even once every couple of days, then maybe I don't need to have it. Maybe I could just deactivate it for a while.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point, because there are a lot of accounts that I think I use. I think my Twitter account has probably been, is there's nothing on it because I had it, I think, in the past, and I used to use it for conferences and when we were out doing events and things, but I haven't been doing those as often anymore. So I'm like, maybe that's, and we're always on Facebook. So maybe it's about time to deactivate Twitter, because I don't tend to spend a lot of time there, and swap it for Instagram stories and take some time to look through those. I love that challenge. That's a challenge to everybody.
Yeah, I think that's a good one.
Yeah.
Where are you? And if it's just dormant, does it look like you've just stopped your business? And if you're going to keep it going, then at least have something on it from time to time.
Because of how we're showing up. And if we're not showing up there, that's a really great point. Like if we see someone's website, or we go to Google and there's they say that they're closed, or they haven't updated their numbers, or there's no, whatever the information isn't correct or updated, or there's no website, we kind of think that they don't exist anymore. And so
Yes.
being able to show up and say, if you're on the platform, show up on the platform, otherwise get off the platform.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a great one to think about for us going forward with the day.
Definitely.
Nice one, Jenni. I enjoyed that. So how can everybody get in touch with you?
So at Elephant in the Room AU is the tag for Facebook and LinkedIn. Sorry, Facebook and Twitter. No, what is it? Yeah, my God, my brain is having a moment. Let me restart. If you want to get hold of me, at Elephant in the Room on Facebook and Instagram are the places to find out. Otherwise, you can catch me on my website, eitrconsulting.com. The links are in the chat, and also will be put on the Facebook group where we're posting. And where can people find you?
hellomedia.team. Jump onto the website, and then you can track me down through all the other places through that. But my favorite place to hang out is in the Hello Media Facebook group. So join that, or the Positive Passionate Businesswoman Facebook group. So yeah, I look forward to our chat next week, Jenni, and it will be in December.
I know, how scary is that? Oh my God, I can't believe we've got like 4 weeks for Christmas. It's crazy.
I'm not ready. This is the first Christmas in like 20 years that I'm actually not ready. I've normally finished all of my Christmas shopping by now, and I really haven't even started.
Well, I'm going to be a bit cheeky because next week we are, Christmas, the 1st of December is on a Wednesday next week. I feel like it's Christmas tree time this weekend. So we might be going a little bit, breaking the tradition and putting a Christmas tree up this weekend, which I'm pretty excited about because we love our Christmas tree, and we bought some really cool lights, and we're into gnomes this year. So we have all these awesome gnomes we want to put around the house. Christmas gnomes are a thing, and I've never thought I would ever say that out loud, but they are, and they're awesome.
Oh, that's so fun. I love this time of year. It's
me too.
To get festive. Well, Jenni, I look forward to seeing you next week, and we're talking about Facebook rules, community guidelines, all the different kind of things around, not just Facebook, obviously, but just rules. Let's talk about rules. I
think talking about rules is important because we know it's with the current changes in the rules are playing havoc with lots of people about what you can and can't do, and some things that you just don't realize you are doing incorrectly. So I think it's a really great conversation to have. So I'm looking forward to that.
Cool, me too. Well, thank you so much. Thanks everyone for joining us and listening. Have a good week. Bye-bye.
Everybody. Bye now.